We're looking at here, a copy. We do have the original, but due to preservation policies and the lighting in this room, we cannot leave the original because it would get destroyed by natural light and whatnot. The deed, this is a copy of the deed from the Haverhill, from the Indians, and this was signed November 15, 1642. The price we paid the Indians was a whopping £3 and 10 shillings. You couldn't even buy a small moderate house for today. It is written in Old English. This is how the original deed signing looked.
Yeah.
The people that signed it were John Ward, Robert Clement, Tristan Cofton, Hugh Sherritt, and William White. And ye sign of Thomas Davis. And there's Saggy Hugh and Passaconaway's insignia.
What was the start of the Haverhill Historical Society? Do you have any history on that?
Yes. The Haverhill Historical Society started in 1897. The artifacts themselves were kept in people's homes. Mm-hmm. There were members' houses and stuff. And then in 1903, the Duncan family donated this building to the Haverhill Historical Society organization. And then in January of 1904, exactly 100 years ago, it officially opened its doors.
Excellent.
It's the Buttonwoods Museum. And that the Buttonwoods Museum actually came from the sycamore trees that were planted on this site from 1739 to 1745.
Do we still have those trees?
The last of the trees died off in the 1930s and 40s.
Oh, I see.
There was a disease that went out around, and those type of sycamores were not native to New England. They were transplanted here. So, after a while, they took their course of life.
But it's still a beautiful site.
It's still a beautiful site. And in fact, George Washington, when he visited this site, when it was owned by Mr. Saltonstall, called this the most beautiful spot in America.
Wow, wow. Some
of the other buildings, we have in 1860, the Daniel Hunkin Shoe Shop, which came here on our site in 1950. Right. We have, in 1906, the John Ward House was moved back to almost its original site, which was on this property, where it is today. And believe it or not, we have approximately or a little around 10,000 collection items in our collection. Tenney Hall, which we use as our classroom, this is one of the signs that was on Tenney Hall when Tenney Hall was across the street at now Linwood Cemetery. And as you can see here, it looks almost like a badge in Tenney Hall, Haverhill Historical Society. And it's one of the original signs that were on Tenney Hall. Here is an old photo of Tenney Hall. This was the outside. It was at the cemetery, which is, if you went up there today, where they're cleaning out to add to the land. The cemetery just purchased some more land up there, and they're adding to their land holdings. This would have been the inside of Tenney Hall, which looks totally different today. The cases I'm standing in between are all Duncan family related items. In these cases we have pictures such as James Henry Duncan, who were the owners of this of the Buttonwoods mansion, jewelry that belonged to the Duncan family, and new to our collection last year, the Duncan family Bible. And some of the other stuff on the wall is the goods that were sold at the chain stores that were owned by Mr. James Henry Duncan. He actually had the first chain stores in Haverhill. They went from Haverhill all the way to the Canadian border. The picture over here is of the Pentucket Club, which was James Henry owned home originally built by Moses Moody. Later became known the Pentucket Social Club. The Buttonwoods, which is the museum, belonged, as I said earlier, to the Duncan family until 1903, when it was given to the Haverhill Historical Society, which was organized in 1897 by Mary Duncan Harris, daughter of James Henry Duncan. Here's another nice photo print of the John Ward house, with the side being of the Buttonwoods mansion.